Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening. How are you people? How are you guys? All good? Yes, no?
Yes, all good.
Okay, super. So, shall we proceed with our project? Yes, no? Okay. So, for first few minutes, I'll talk about the project, like what we are going to implement and what are the prerequisites we have. Everything we'll discuss, and then we'll move on to the a demo kind of thing, like how you can able to actually prepare your project content and all. But um, I want this session to be more interactive, okay? I don't want any silent listeners anymore. If you want to be silent, let me know. I can unmute all your lines so that only I can just deliver and close the call. All right. So let's make it more interactive because this is something which you can directly use it in your profile. The methods, whatever we're going to discuss here related to the project, it is going to add value to your profile. Correct. So pay attention and you can ask questions related to the project discussions, what we're going to have. And another important thing is make it more interactive. Correct. So try to recollect what are the topics we covered so far, like what you did in Jenkins module, what we did in Git module, how you use Git and Jenkins to perform ACM checkout, and then how you used your Maven build server to perform the application build. And then we learned about Docker, right, to create an image, to create a container. And we discussed about Kubernetes, where we can create some deployment objects and other stuff, right? So hope you all clear with that process, right? Any questions on it? Any question? Yes, no. Hmm. Okay. So when it comes to your project implementation, right? Like first we'll be having a detailed assessment, DevOps assessment. I mean, in real-time environment, whenever we get a requirement to do any project, first, I think you can see my screen or not? Like, yes. So as we discussed, as part of the project implementation phase, whenever we get a requirement from any application team to onboard the application or no implement DevOps for the application, first we will do a detailed assessment of that particular application, right? So once that assessment is completed, then we'll be implementing the actual solution. So when it comes to your DevOps project, as part of your CSD pipeline implementation, it all starts from the detailed DevOps assessment. So this DevOps assessment is something performed by the DevOps architects, DevOps leads, or DevOps consultant. What they usually do means they will actually interact with the stakeholders, interact with all the teams, and collect the detailed requirements. You have to check with the application development team, testing team, and implemented things. Got it? And in any DevOps implementation, we just consider three important factors. Listen carefully. Actually, we just divide this whole DevOps implementation in 3 different phases. So you can consider the very first phase is meant for infrastructure provisioning and configuration. Because if you want to create a CSD pipeline, means you need to work in Jenkins. You have to set up Jenkins server, correct? You have to launch a Jenkins server, you have to install Jenkins tools, you have to configure your slave nodes. And if you want to install Docker, Maven, everything you have to install and configure. So first thing we'll be focusing on the infrastructure perspective. It can be automated through your Terraform or Ansible, or you can use your AWS console to launch your machines. It means on DevOps perspective, what are all the servers you need? You have to launch those servers using AWS console. And once the server is ready, you have to configure it. Right, configuration means like depends upon the server. Like if you're working on Jenkins, means you have to install and configure Jenkins. If you need a Jenkins slave node, you need to install and configure the build tools. Like that, that infrastructure provisioning configuration will be done in this phase 1. And in phase 2, we'll be using that DevOps tools like Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, Git kind of tools to create the process automation. So here in phase 2, we'll create a application builds and deployment by using Jenkins CSD pipelines. And once as part of the CSD pipeline, we can able to automate. So this process is to automate your application builds and deployments. Correct. So once the application is deployed to the target environment, assume that using Jenkins, you have deployed it into your production environment. Then comes your monitoring. You can have your Prometheus and Grafana to monitor these servers. What are all these servers involved? Let's say you have a Jenkins server, means you can monitor Jenkins server. Slave nodes, Kubernetes master nodes, all these things can be monitored with the help of your monitoring tools like Prometheus and Grafana. Easy? Are you able to understand what is happening here? Hope you all can hear me well.
Yeah,
Yes, now, yes.
Sachin?
Yes, now I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
But
So,
I just missed the phase one. Phase two and phase three clear.
so what we are trying to do here is, if you want to do any sort of DevOps implementation, obviously we'll be using some DevOps tools, like it can be Jenkins or Docker or Kubernetes kind of tools. So to install and configure those tools, you need a server, right? Directly, we cannot create a CSD pipeline. No, you need an infrastructure first. It can be a Jenkins master node, slave node configurations, build environment, set up everything. So we are going to split our entire work into 3 different phases. In first phase, you launch the server and then install all the required tools. Once the server and tools are ready, you can create a CSD pipeline using Jenkins. And finally, you can able to monitor with the existing monitoring tools, whatever you have. Correct. Now, how we are going to work on it? In order to actually work on this, right, we have to address all these 3 questions. That is, if you want to launch a server, means what are all the servers you need? For what purpose you need? And in each and every server, what are all the tools you're going to install? And once the infrastructure is ready, if you want to create a CSD pipeline, what are all the stages of your CSD pipeline? So if you're clear with these 3, you know, requirement or question, with this, you can able to work on any DevOps solution. You can use your open source DevOps, or tomorrow, if you are starting with your Azure DevOps services or AWS DevOps services, whatever the DevOps implementation you're going to do, if you can address these 3 questions, that is what considers the primary thing. So now you're going to answer all these things. My requirement is to automate the application builds and deployment. Okay. So what are all the steps we are going to follow here? So first, you need to tell me what are all the servers you need. Can you? What are all the servers you need on DevOps perspective to set up the, create a CI pipeline?
First is Jenkins master node, Jenkins slave nodes, Ansible nodes.
Maven.
Come again.
Ansible control first. We need to check that server and then we can deploy in this Jenkins and Jenkins slave nodes with the help of Ansible.
Okay, Ansible, if you want, you can able to use it as part of your workflow. Like using Ansible, you can able to install the packages, right? You can able to install the required tools. It's all your creative process. You can able to use Ansible, or tomorrow if you're working on AWS, you can use CloudFormation. It depends. But the core requirement for DevOps, what is it?
Jenkins master nodes,
Hmm.
Jenkins slave nodes.
Okay. And then?
That Kubernetes master node, worker node.
Okay, then? That's all? Or any other server needed?
Containers.
Docker.
Docker is a tool, right? It's not a server, no?
Okay.
For build, I think we require one server for building.
I think that's what you're going to use slave node, right?
Slave node, yeah.
So for this particular implementation, we can have some number of servers. So what all the servers we need here means we'll be using a Jenkins master node. This master node is something which we are going to use to create your CSD pipeline projects, and it will be scheduled to run in the slave node. And what about the slave node? What is the purpose of slave node here? The slave node is used to perform the application builds and image build. So the purpose of this is to compile the source code, perform the automated unit testing, create the artifacts, and once the artifact is ready, with that artifact, you're going to create an application image. Hope you remember we discussed about, right, how to use a WAR file to create an image.
Yes.
And once the image is ready, you can publish to the container registry. So these are all the activities that you can perform on this build server. So whenever we are discussing about the list of servers, it is our responsibility to give a proper business justification. Why you need this server? What is the purpose of the server? Without this justification, you cannot get the things approved. And then your Kubernetes master node. So using Jenkins master, I can create a pipeline project. And if I trigger the build will be performed in this build server. And as part of the build, the ultimate outcome is the image, application image, that gets published into your container registry, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Once it is published to container registry, what next? We can use our Kubernetes master to deploy that particular images and applications into the Kubernetes cluster in the form of pods. And the worker nodes are meant for running your pods. Easy? So able to understand the first part of this question now?
Yes.
Any doubts, or do you think any other server needed here? Okay.
So I
And the
suppose,
next question is, yeah.
yeah, suppose think that if we are using Terraform, so where can we deploy that?
Terraform and Ansible will be a separate phase, okay?
Okay.
So using a dedicated, server, consider you create one VM. Like in your previous Ansible module, you had a controller machine, right? Ansible controller machine.
Yeah.
So you can have one dedicated controller machine where you can install Ansible. And if you want, you can use the same machine to install Terraform.
Okay. We cannot pair with these, right? It has to be separate from them.
See, you should consider all these servers are the outcome of your infrastructure provisioning. In phase one, you are responsible to create the server, means you can create the server using AWS console or by using Terraform and Ansible. Like you can use Terraform to create your Jenkins master node, correct? You can launch one server, right?
Yep.
That can be done through Terraform. If you have Terraform script ready, you can launch one node. And you have Ansible playbook ready, you can install the required tools in that server and start the service.
Yeah, sir, but where to what execute that playbook in the sense in Jenkins master or where?
We never use Jenkins master to
We have to separately
execute
use
this.
another server, right? Another
Yeah,
server
yes,
for
that's right.
this thing.
It is a dedicatedly different process. As part of our DevOps workflow, we never mix our application builds and deployments with the infrastructure perspective. We'll be creating one dedicated server, install Terraform and Ansible there, got it, and launch the nodes using Terraform. And then you can add the servers as Ansible nodes and control it through your Ansible controller machine. Got it?
Yeah.
So do not mix. That's why I just mentioned 3 different phases. This will be your dedicated flow, and this will be completely, different flow for CI/CD pipeline. And also the monitoring will be something managed by a different team, right? So what are the tools we can install in this server, in each server?
In Jenkins master,
First of all, it's
Git,
Git is the
JDK as
first.
well as Jenkins.
Maven, Git, JDK, Jenkins.
No, not in the master. We cannot install that in master. We have to
Yeah,
install
Oh,
that
Maven.
target
you're
in
asking about the master one.
yeah,
Yeah, master
Same
Maven
node,
is cannot be installed in master. Only JDK
JDK
and
and Jenkins.
Jenkins.
yeah,
Git.
Jenkins.
So in my master node, I can install JDK, Jenkins, and Git.
Git.
And in slave node, I can install JDK, Git, Maven, and Docker because I'm going to perform the Docker build as well. Right?
Yeah, correct.
And in Kubernetes, you know what are the components needed? Starting from your Docker container runtime interface, your kubeadm, kubectl, right? All those things should be there as part of the Kubernetes. Now, when I talk about the tools configuration, it is not just about creating or installing the tool. It is also a responsibility to maintain the Docker Hub. That is very much important. Because through your Jenkins pipeline, you are going to publish your image to container registry. So to do that, you have to download or create the credential in Docker Hub, and that credential should be stored in your Jenkins credential manager. Because hope you remember, right, in our previous models, we discussed about it, right? So how we use our credential manager to maintain the keys. Like this, if you want to interact with Docker Hub, the Docker credential should be maintained in the Jenkins credential manager. That is the second thing. And then we have 5 servers created. It is not just about creating the server and installing the package. You have to properly integrate the servers. So your Jenkins slave node should be integrated with Jenkins master node, right? And this Kubernetes master node should be integrated with the Jenkins master node. So using publish ORSS plugin, we are going to integrate the Kubernetes master node to Jenkins master node. Because the Kubernetes nodes are considered target server for deployment. Remember, in your Jenkins module, we used QA server, right, for deployment.
Yes.
How you attach a QA server Jenkins? Using publish OSS plugin, remember?
Correct.
Similarly, here I want to attach my Kubernetes master node to Jenkins master node using publish OSS plugin. And once it is attached, you can execute a kubectl create command and publish the, deploy your application pods. So how you can able to interact with these two servers, Kubernetes master and Jenkins master? For that, first you have to create a DevOps of the user in Kubernetes master node. And that user should have proper access, like SSH key should be enabled. And that user should have access to run the kubectl commands. Got it? And then use those details in your publish plugin to configure it. Simple as that. So when you perform the SCM, I'll talk about the stages in some time, but as of now, understand what are things to be integrated first. So the slave node will be configured with Jenkins master by using the node configuration. Kubernetes master will be integrated with Jenkins master by using publish OSS plugin. So to use publish OSS plugin, what are things needed? We need the host name, username, and the credentials. Right? So that is the reason we create a DevOps and user and the credentials for the user in Kubernetes master node. Correct. And using your pipeline, I'll show you how we can able to interact with these servers. Correct. So the last question here in the list is, what are all the stages of your pipeline? What does the answer for this? What's your answer for this?
First stage is SCM checkout.
Okay.
Application build.
Application
We
build.
compile the source code after the SCM checkout.
SCM checkout, application build, application image build.
Okay.
And pushing it to
Project
the repository.
Okay.
in the Docker Hub.
Register Docker Hub.
Deploy the application to the Kubernetes clusters.
That's it. No, simple, right?
Correct.
So in your Docker module, you create the artifacts. I mean, in your Jenkins module, you created artifacts and publish to the Tomcat server. But now the artifacts, whatever we're going to prepare, it should be converted to an image. And that image has to be deployed to the Kubernetes cluster through your Docker Hub registry. So for that, you need to be very clear about the pipeline stages. So these are all things. I'm just giving you a summary of all this. Okay, it will be very much helpful for you tomorrow if you work on your project. Even in real time also, we'll be having some checklists like this. So first we'll do SCM checkout. And once you get the artifact, I mean a source code, in the build server, we create your application build, image build, and then log into Docker Hub and then publish it. And then you can deploy the images to the target environment by using Kubernetes. You see? And the target environment can be anything like dev, stage, and prod. So how you create environments in Kubernetes? Yeah, by using namespaces. So create a dev namespace and you can deploy that pod in the dev namespace. Like that, you can able to use your deployments there. Hope you're clear, right? At least you're getting some clarity, right? How you can proceed with the project implementation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are clear with this, what we are going to do next? I'm going to give the complete objective or the step-by-step process of your implementation. It is something like a checklist, we can say. Correct? It is something like a checklist. Listen carefully. Like even in real-time environment also, we DevOps team will be having such checklist before we onboard the application to DevOps process. So first and foremost thing is SCM checkout. To perform the SCM checkout, what we need a source code repository. So that source code repository will be provided by the developer. Repository or use that repository URL and clone it. Okay. So what I'm going to do means I'm going to give you one source code repository. You can fork the repository and have it in your own account. And then we are going to launch some virtual machines. Correct. And ensure that all the required ports are enabled, the security group are enabled. And if you want to install the required tools, I'm just talking about all these activities. We are going to launch these nodes. And then once the nodes are ready, you have to ensure that all the required security groups are updated. For example, if you want to set up a Jenkins master, you need port 8080. Similarly, in each and every server, what are the ports required? Just update the inbound rule. And once the nodes are ready, once you create the server with the proper port numbers, then you need to install all the required tools, these things. So to install the tools, you can do it manually or by using Ansible playbook. If you can able to write Ansible playbook, you can write and create it. Otherwise, you can do it manually. And once the tools are installed, then you have to create the users in all the required machines. Like in slave node, we create the DevOps user. In Kubernetes master, we create DevOps user. So create the required users and then integrate the servers, set up the connection between the servers. Like you have to connect your Jenkins master and slave and then Kubernetes master and Jenkins master. Once the connection is done, validate the connection and then only we can create the CI/CD pipeline. These stages of CI/CD pipeline will be created in Jenkins. Once this is done, you can validate CI/CD pipeline for the given application and verify that it is deployed in the Kubernetes cluster. This is a basic requirement. You have to fulfill this. Correct. So for launching the node, launching the VMs, you can either use Terraform or AWS console. Similarly, for installing the tools, you can do it through manually or through Ansible playbooks. It depends. And once all these processes are completed, finally, if you want to enhance your process, you can able to use a GitHub webhook that will automatically trigger a build. As soon as I commit the changes to the repository, it should trigger the build. And also you can enable some email notifications. That is optional. If you want, you can able to configure it. And I believe you know how to configure it, right? How to set up your GitHub webhook.
Yeah, yes.
And how to configure email notifications, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All those things. And finally, you can able to think about your phase 3. Like in phase 3, I was talking about the monitoring. Like for example, if you want to monitor the Kubernetes master node, or if you want to monitor Jenkins master node slave node, just add these nodes as a target to your Prometheus server. Already you must be having a monitoring server, right? Yesterday we created it. So to that monitoring server, Prometheus server, you can attach these servers as a target. So you need to install node exporter in this machine and you can access it there. Easy. So I'll give you another 2 minutes time. Please go through all these things one by one. I want you people to read this by yourself and try to understand what we are going to achieve here. Server, you should know what all servers you're going to create and the purpose of it, right? Just read this one by one and let me know if you have any question, please. I'll be sharing this document with you, okay? Don't worry. Are we good with this? Guys, hope you are listening, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you can focus
Yes,
on the
sir.
tools perspective. Like for what purpose we install the tool and what how you're going to integrate, what are things we have to integrate. Read line by line and try to remember and recollect your previous modules. Any question, guys? See, why I'm documenting all this means even after 2-3 months during your interview preparations, if you go through my notes, it will be easy for you to know manage your interviews. That's the reason. So please utilize this properly. Any question on this part? All right. So if you're clear with this, then the next thing is about this stage. See, if you're completed, please let me know. Okay, I'm waiting for a response, right?
Yeah, done, sir.
Yeah. Read.
So the next thing is about the stages of your pipeline and the final checklist. So this checklist is something very much important. You can follow this approach. Maybe tomorrow, once you are into your AWS or Azure, there also you can follow the same strategy. Done? Okay. And one important thing here, people who have already completed your what do you call the Docker and Kubernetes module, if once you practice, right, at least you can able to easily understand this. People who are yet to start your practice, I don't think it is easy for you to manage, but please pay attention. I'll explain from the scratch. Right.
Inbound rules, we can use all traffic. We will use it. We will use here, or we will select
For
one by
for
one.
the sake of demo, if you want, you can use all traffic. That doesn't matter.
But in real time, we will use the exact ports, right?
In real-time environment, we have to inform the infra team, and they have to provide. Let's say you want to install your Jenkins in this node, and to run Jenkins in that particular node, you need port 8080. And if you're expecting your infra team to set up port 80, means if the port is available, they will share it with you. sometimes the port might not be available, might be used by some other services. So in that case, you can able to change the port numbers from the Jenkins config file. Got it? So as part of your infrastructure provisioning and configuration, we have to strictly follow the infra team's recommendations. We cannot take the call. Similarly, while launching the node, what is the node type? Whether you want to have your T2 medium or T3 medium or T2 large, it's all depends upon the enterprise standards and policies. Even the AMI also. Got it?
Yes.
Fine. So if you're clear with this, then we'll go and implement it. So for the implementation, I'm going to follow the same process. Like if you already have Jenkins master and slave nodes and Kubernetes cluster, you can reuse it. Okay, don't create a new server unnecessarily. Like for example, in your previous model, you must have created a Jenkins master node, right? Do you still have it or deleted it?
I'm having it.
Have it.
I still have.
If you're still having means you can use the same server. But before that, try to get into the slave node and delete that workspace folder. What are the application repositories get downloaded, right? Workspace folder, clean it up. Similarly, if you already have a Kubernetes master node worker nodes ready, you can use the same. Don't create a new server because it might lead to some billing for you. Just for the matter of cost perspective, I'm just saying this. Or if you want to practice, like you want to start from the scratch, or you want to practice it again, means you can delete all the existing servers and create from the scratch. And for the creation of these servers, I hope you already have the documentations, right? So remember, I shared the document to install JDK. What are the steps to be followed, right? Hope you all have this.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want, I'll be sharing this document again today. This is to set up a Jenkins master node, slave node. And I also have something for Tomcat, but Tomcat is not required for this project. And then I have something for your Kubernetes also. Great. And I think I already shared this Kubernetes documentation with you, right? Everything you can follow from here. Got it? Any doubt? Okay. So now my servers are ready and my tools also ready. I have installed all the required tools in the server. So if I go to my AWS console, where is it? AWS console. So I have started all these 5 servers for the matter of time. Just before you join the session, right? I started everything. It's all created, right, for our batch previously. So I can log into my Jenkins service now. Or I'll do one thing. Let me close this, go to the server. Let me stop everything. Because already there are some jobs and other stuffs are up and running. So it might delay the process. So what I'll do here is I'll go to this Jenkins master node first. I think it's all stopped, right? No, it's still in stopping state. because just to stop, login itself, it's taking more time, then I don't think it will be a good habit. So let me go ahead and change this image instance settings, change instance type. Let me give it as a T2 medium. Okay. And this is my Kubernetes workout 2 action instance state, change instance type to T2 medium. This is a billing price, okay, just a 0.0496. It means just not even a cent, right? So what is it? What I give there? If you launched it through your CloudFormation or Terraform, you can do it from there itself. I showed you how to modify the changes in Terraform script. Hmm. So these 5 servers, let me start. See how fast. So now what I can do, I can get into this node, take the public IP of the machine. It's a public IP address, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can practice this with T2 micro. That doesn't matter. Okay. You can practice it with T2 micro instance. It won't create any issue. But before you perform any build, what you can do is just log into the server and delete the workspace folder from the Jenkins slave node. And then delete all the Docker images, containers that you created in the slave node. And then execute it. It will work. Okay, now my Jenkins server is up and running. Let me log in. What is the password? It's Friday, right? Yeah. And then RL. All right. So what we are going to do here, as of now, we just configure this slave node. You can see my slave node is up and running. I just want to show you this integration actually. Because as part of our workflow, once the nodes are ready, upon installing all the required tools, we have to integrate the servers, right? So Jenkins master should be integrated with slave node that we already done in our Jenkins module itself. So if you see the configuration of this, you can able to understand it is already communicating with the node. And the next important thing is your Kubernetes integration. Okay, so we have to integrate our Kubernetes master node with Jenkins master node. Why we need to do this integration means, if I perform SCM checkout, the entire source code will be downloaded to the slave node, correct? And in that source code only, I have my Kubernetes manifest file. Remember the deployment control object creation or service definition, all those manifests will be made in the source code repository. Now it is available in my slave node. So I have to copy that file from my slave node to my Kubernetes master and run the kubectl create command. So that will be done through your Kubernetes Jenkins master node. So Jenkins master acts as an interface between your build server and the Kubernetes cluster. So that's what. So we have to create a pipeline deployment stage using publish plugin, and to copy the Kubernetes manifest file from the Jenkins slave node to Kubernetes master node, we do this integration. Once it is done, you can run the command kubectl apply command or create command there. Right. Fine. So now let me get into this. If you want, I just log into the servers first. This is my slave node, right? Let me copy this public IP. And I log into my Kubernetes master node. This is my Kubernetes master node. Rename it. Rename. Okay, master. Okay. So now let me check if I have any pods up and running. Okay, that's good. It might take some time because it is just coming up. So what I'll do here, let me, in the meantime, let's check the workspace. If you're already using your slave node, like this is your slave node, right? So if you're already having a slave node, all that you can do here is just log into that machine. I believe you must be having a DevOps admin user, correct? Remember, in slave node, we create DevOps admin user, right? That is what we integrated.
Yes.
Go to that and go to the workspace folder and delete everything. Just rm-rf followed by the folder name. Just delete everything. Clean up the workspace first. And also, there is something called Docker images. If there is any images which you already created, just delete everything just to clean up and free some space. If you're using T2 Micro. Similarly, Docker ps-a. Say I cleaned up everything. There's nothing in my machine as of now. So let's start from the scratch. Similarly, go to your Kubernetes master node. And from here, you can able to manage your resources. What kind of resources is like? I don't get it. One minute, let me log in again. This is my Kubernetes master, right? I think I logged into some other server. This is my K master node. Let me close this. Okay. So now if I say sudo -i and if I say kubectl, it got stuck. We just launched it, not right? Maybe it is taking some time to create the service and all. Hope I'm audible to all here.
Yes.
Yes.
Issues. Anyways, you have recordings, right? That should be fine for you then. kubectl get nodes. I have all my nodes up and running. And if I say kubectl get pods, I have some pods up and running here. And cd to the Kubernetes ls. So let me clean it up, okay? kubectl delete -f followed by the file name like HP. I just want to remove the pods, whatever created as part of this particular YAML file. Similarly, I want to remove the file as which is created as part of my dev pods. Okay, and also I want to clean up the pod which we have created along with the deployment objects. Like what are things we have created here? Deployment, Nginx, deployment. Easy. Now if I say kubectl get pods, it's empty. So this is how I just cleaned up the pods and free some volume or spaces actually. So once this is done, you are ready to use your process. But point here is we have to integrate our Kubernetes master node with the Jenkins master node. So in order to do that, we are going to use publish or SSH plugins. We need to enable the SSH connection between the servers. To do the SSH connection between the servers, all that you should do here is you have to create the user. Create a DevOps and user in the Kubernetes master and set all the access to that user. So you know how to create the user, right? What are all the commands needed? Do you remember what are the commands needed to create the user?
Yeah, user
add,
add.
user add.
Yes, user.
User add.
Add.
Okay. So I'll do one thing. I'll be sharing one more set of instructions. Okay. Like in my previous document, I shared this content, right? To set up a Kubernetes master node and worker nodes. Hope you all have this document with you. Yes. As part of this, I'll be sharing this content also. This is something used to add the user in your Kubernetes master node. So I think I don't have any user here. Yes, we don't have. So let's create a new user. So let me explain the commands first. Create the user, log into that user, create the key pair, ensure that the key pair is accessible only by that particular DevOps user, along with that authorized key files. And the DevOps user should have access to your Docker group, right? So just add that DevOps user to the Docker group in Kubernetes master node. And another important thing is this DevOps user should have privilege to execute the kubectl command. Got it? So in your previous Kubernetes module, if you remember, as part of your kubectl init command, we have execute these lines of statement, right? Do you remember what is the purpose of this? So based upon these commands only, the user can able to interact with kubectl. So that has to be done actually. So it is a process of giving access to DevOps and user to execute your or interact with Kubernetes master node. That should be done here. So all these things should be configured in your Kubernetes master. So let's create this. And once this is done, just create the key pair. And then log into that folder. And here you create your authorized keys file based upon the public key content. And then ensure that you enter your execute your chmod command to limit the access to that file. And you can add this DevOps and user to that Docker group, but that should be done as a root user. So exit from here as a root user, run that command. Once this is done, execute this vi stdio command. Go to, this is a nano editor, right? Just scroll down. We are going to give some additional privilege to this DevOps admin user. Got it? Run this command, DevOps admin all. So it should not ask for any password, because in the next statement, I'm going to execute these things. We are going to copy the file from this etc directory to the home directory of DevOps user. So as a DevOps user, he should have access to this home etc directory. By default, only the root user can able to read the content of this directory etc. So it will expect the credential from the DevOps user. So we're just giving additional privilege to say no password. That's what I did here. Once this is done, just give Control X and type yes. That's it. Okay. Right. So that is done now. So once this is done, you are ready to access it. So now if I say via SU, I hope you did it in your Ansible module, remember? Guys, are you aware of it?
Yes, yes.
Same thing I did here also for this DevOps user. Let me exit from here. Now, once this is done, you can log into the DevOps user and execute these commands. If I say su-devops, like as a root user, if I say kubectl get nodes, I can able to run it because this root user is already having access to master node. But if I said DevOps admin user and use kubectl get nodes, see it says connection refused. It means as a DevOps user, you cannot interact with that Kubernetes API server. That's why it is refusing the connection. And now what you can do here is, as a DevOps user, run these lines of code. That's it. Once this is done, you can able to handle the things. Easy? Any question? Hope you all able to follow this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's get into a Jenkins master node. Go to manage Jenkins. In that manage Jenkins page, if you scroll down, you see something called system. Go to the system configuration. Scroll down where you can see your publish over SSH. Right? So if you remember, already we have configured Tomcat server once upon a time. Yes or no? Remember, right?
Yes.
Now, similarly, we are going to add one more server. Just click on add here. Enter the details of the server. Like I want to set up my Kubernetes master. And the host name. Host name is nothing but the private IP address of the master node. Take the private IP address of master node and configure it here. What is the username?
DevOps
admin.
admin.
Bob said.
And remote directory. I want to execute my kubectl create or apply command from the home directory of DevOps admin user. So this is the home directory. I can have it here. Got it? And then enable this advanced settings, enable this checkbox here, and the key pair it is expecting, just directly copy paste the private key, whatever you created for the DevOps admin user. Right? have it here. That's it. So with all these parameters, if you click on this test configuration, it should say success. If not, then you need to recheck. Check your host name, username, and the key. Everything should be in sync. Configure this, save this, apply the changes. That's it. So with this, we have completed our second thing. What are the tools to be configured in each and every server? All the tools are configured, and also we were able to interact with the servers. So my Jenkins master and slave are connected. Also the Kubernetes masters and Jenkins master are connected here. Any question so far? Any question on this?
No, sir.
Okay. So next thing is we have to create our CSD pipeline. Easy. But before we create this pipeline, we have to be very clear about the objective. What are all the stages of your pipeline? And to perform or execute each and every stage, what are all the prerequisites? So what is a prerequisite to run this particular SCM checkout stage?
Repository.
You need a repository, source code repository. And what about these stages? That source code repository should have pom.xml file to perform application build, correct?
Yes.
And what about this stage? That source code repository should have Docker file to execute this, correct? Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes. Yes.
Docker
Yeah.
file should be part of the source code repository. Similarly, once the image is created, I have to log into my Docker Hub account, and then I'll be publishing the images to the container registry. So in order to log into Docker Hub account, what do you need?
Access key.
Access
Yes.
token.
So you have to create your access key and secret key in your Docker Hub account. So you have to maintain the Docker Hub credential in the Jenkins Credential Manager. So how to do that means, first get into your Docker Hub account. So log into your Docker Hub account first and go to your account ID and click on your account settings. From the account settings page, you can see something called personal access token. Click on it. And here you can click on this generate new token. Give a token name. Already you must have done this, right? Hope you all know how to do this. No or don't know.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we know.
All right, super. So just generate this token and preserve it somewhere. Okay, I need these details.
So
Okay,
once you have created the token previously, that cannot be used, right?
if you haven't set up the retention period, you can use it. I
Yes, I
just
have
set,
not set any timeline and I have
then
saved
yeah,
also.
if you have a backup, if you have preserved,
Yeah.
you can use the same, no problem.
Okay.
All right. So we just created this and we are just going to utilize it. So that is what. So to perform these actions, I need these two parameters. I just prepared it. That's what a checklist actually. Okay. So how many servers we have here? 5 servers. And to execute all the 6 stages, we are going to use all the 5 servers. But if you noticed one thing properly here, the very first 5 stages can be executed using Jenkins master and slave node, right? To perform this 4 or 5 tasks, just Jenkins master and slave is more than sufficient, because In Jenkins master, I'll be creating the pipeline project, and in slave node, I'm going to perform SCM checkout, perform the application build, perform the Docker build, and then I'll be logging to the Docker hub and publishing the image. So all these 4 or 5 stages can be done just with the help of your slave node and Jenkins master node. Right. Once it is published, then only for the purpose sake of deployment, we need the production, Kubernetes cluster. Understood? Is it clear now? Now, let me get into this, and we are going to prepare the pipeline project. But before you prepare a pipeline project, you have to configure this in your Jenkins Credential Manager. So let me go to my Jenkins management console, and here I have something called credentials. Open this credentials. Hope you all can able to understand the process, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in this credential manager, go to this global domain and click on add credential. It will take you to a credential page, credential manager page, to create a new credential. And here, let it be the username with password. It is not like a key pair, right? So let it be username with password. And what is the username here? This one. This is the log Docker Hub user ID. And what about the password? It is nothing but your token, whatever you have created. And the ID, I can select Docker Hub credential, something like this. So this is how we add the credential of any external server into a Jenkins credential manager. Tomorrow, if you want to handle your GitHub repositories, and if the repositories are having any credentials, you can have it here like this. Go to credential manager, click on new credential, and add the credential. Here you can give your GitHub account ID and the password, access token of the GitHub account. Easy, create this one. So once this is created, it will be cataloged in the credential manager. Are we good to proceed, or you want to have a quick break and come back?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay, so now you can see the latest credential is created and is cataloged here. So that's it. We have completed all the prerequisites. Got it? We have performed all these activities now. The next thing is we are going to create a CSD pipeline with all the 6 stages and validate the pipeline. So to create a pipeline, we have a dedicated pipeline script. Like if you can see our previous project also, while working in Jenkins module itself, I showed you, right? Like these are the projects which we have created, right? So just click on new item and create a project if you want. Let it be. Okay. And choose a template as pipeline and click on OK. That's it. So this is our project configuration. So here you can directly enter your pipeline script. Got it? So what are all the stages of your CSD pipeline? We are going to create a pipeline script now. Got it? Just go have a quick break and come back. I'll show you how to create that. I'm here. Others, if you have any question, let me know. Okay, so shall we? Guys,
Yes,
are we
sir.
good with
Yeah.
this? Okay, so now we'll be discussing about the CI/CD pipeline. Like we have prepared all the infra, everything is ready. Only thing is we have to set up our pipeline script. But to perform SIM checkout and perform all these application builds and deployment, I need a source code repository, correct? So in real-time environment also, the source code repository will be provided by your development team. So if you can see your documentation repository here, like I have prepared this repository for your project just now because I want this project should be enabled with your Docker file and then the Kubernetes manifest file along with the POM XML file. So this POM XML file is something used to perform application build, correct? There's application artifacts, whatever you can able to create. And then the Docker file that is used to identify your base image as Tomcat and identify your application artifacts and deploy to your target Tomcat container volume. And port is 8080. And another important thing is your Kubernetes manifest file because to perform your deployment of application images to Kubernetes cluster, we have to prepare the manifest file. So that I have updated here in kube deploy.yaml file. So if you want, I'll explain this once. So this file name is something kube deploy.yaml. Okay. So I already shared this manifest file with you, right? To create a deployment object. So kind is deployment, API version for deployment which is app/v1. Metadata is going to identify the name of the deployment object which you're going to create. So loci-et-deploy is the name of the deployment object. And this is a label I just want to assign to that deployment object. And under spec, I'm going to create two replicas of this deployment object. It means the pods. I want to create two instances of pods. If you want, you can say three also, doesn't matter. And then select a key that is used to identify the label of the template. So here I have a template which is going to have the label as a metadata and the container specification. Correct. So once the pod is deployment is created, my expectation is I want to create two copies of pod. And once the pod is ready, I want to deploy the pod. And how we can expose the pod to internet? By using the node port service, remember?
Yes.
So I can able to create a manifest file definition to prepare the node port service. In your module, I showed you the kubectl expose command to create node port service. That is using ad hoc approach. But as part of your CSD pipeline execution, you can use this manifest file content in a same file here. That means this manifest file can able to create deployment object, replica sets, and two copies of pods as well as the service. So if you want to create any Kubernetes service through your manifest file, this is the definition. So kind will be service, API version for services v1, and metadata is just to name the service. Name of the service is node port service, NP. And this is a label assigned to the service. And the type of service is node port, and any node port service will be assigned with the node port value starting from 30,000 to 32,767. Please remember this range. So if you are sure about that range, you can directly enter it here, or you can able to leave this parameters default one. System will assign it. And this is a service port and the target port. It is same as like your container port. Easy. So this is how we prepare the manifest file. It is available in your repository. Got it? So I'll be sharing this link with you. You can fork this repository. That's what I showed you here. So what you can do to enable the thing, first fork the repository to your own repo. So let me share this URL. It is there in document also. So make use of this repository and first fork it. Once you fork the repository, then you can able to use it in your pipeline script. So how to prepare this pipeline project? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? This one, this one, this one. Here. So how to create this pipeline script? We are going to have 6 stages of pipeline, right? So here is an example. So I'm going to prepare a script and I want to run it in a slave node 1. That is my Jenkins slave node. And in this, I have a very first stage called SEM checkout stage, where I'm going to use my source code repository, which is shared by the user. That source code repository will have application code, form.xml file, Docker file, and the Kubernetes manifest file. And using Maven clean package, perform build and create the artifacts. Once the artifact is ready, you can use your Docker build image stage. That is your third stage in the list. So with that stage, what you're going to means, I'm going to use Docker build command. Docker build -it followed by the image name along with the version number. So it is always recommended to add the tag for each and every image you create, and the tag name can be auto-generated with the help of your Jenkins build number. Because whenever I trigger the build, it is going to create one image copy, right? You can assign it. It's the best practice. And then this dot denotes. What is need for dot there?
File.
It's a Docker file. Correct. So where is the Docker file? It is something available here. There's my Docker file. All right. So any question on this? Please let me know now.
I just want to know, you are using in this format Loksa ETA, so we have to replace with our name and image name, or we can use it as it is.
Your repository name is unique, right?
Yeah.
What is the image name? The image name will be something like this. Your Docker Hub repository ID followed by the image name and the tag. Correct?
Yes.
So ensure that you enter your Docker Hub repository name here. If you use my repository name and execute this, it will fail.
Yes.
Similarly, the image name also just gives some relevant image.
Okay.
All right. Any question?
So can you explain that environment script once again?
Come again?
So the environment script which you are tagged in the first line.
I'll talk about it. But
Okay,
before that, you understood the purpose of these things, right? Like what is
yeah. I completely understand.
Okay. So it's very much essential to manage your image names properly. For example, here, if you can see my pipeline script. In this pipeline script, first we perform the application build and then image build. So I use the repository name, my Docker repository name, and this is the image name, right? And then I'm giving a command, Docker image command, to list that image to verify in my Jenkins console. And then I'm just tagging it. So Docker tag is one command that is used to assign some tag to image. Sometimes what happens, we might have created an image without this repository name. If you want to change the name of that image, you can just simply give a tag, Docker tag, followed by that tag name. So here already I created image with the build number. I want to tag it to latest. So whenever I perform build, only the latest image should be deployed to my Kubernetes cluster. That is my intention. Got it? So the image, whatever you have created here, the same image name should be reused in your used in your manifest file. So loci eta / loci eta -app. So this is the image we just prepared. So just use that image name in your manifest file also. Correct. So the flow of execution is, it will perform the SCM checkout, create artifacts, create this image, and the same image will be published to your container registry. Docker push followed by that image name. Got it? And once it is available in the registry, it can be deployed to Kubernetes cluster by using this command kubectl apply command followed by the file name. Okay. Now the point here is, once the build is completed, I need to perform Docker login. So in order to log into your Docker Hub account, we need to execute a command Docker login -u followed by the username, and it will prompt for the password. There you need to enter your Docker Hub personal access token, correct? That's what you did know during your Docker module. Remember this Docker login command, guys?
Yes, yes.
So to execute this Docker login command, I need two parameters. One is the username, another thing is the password. And as per the process, we are not supposed to hard code any credentials in the script. That is the reason we just save this in a Jenkins credential manager. So if you can see my Jenkins credential manager here, I have created Docker login ID as well as Docker Hub credential something, right? This is the ID which I have created. Okay, so this I can use in my pipeline script as a variable name. Docker Hub credential 1 is what I have created now, correct? Hope you have seen, no? So this ID I'm going to use in my pipeline script as a environmental variable. Remember, we have discussed about Jenkins environment variable, right? Like this, if you want to create a variable for your entire pipeline, you can use this environment tag. And here I'm going to create one variable called Docker Hub _ credentials. So this is just an environment variable, and it is assigned with the credentials, whatever we prepared now Jenkins master Jenkins credential manager. So it means this variable is going to hold two values. One is password, another thing is access token. So as part of a Docker login stage, we are going to execute a command Docker login -u followed by the username. The username variable is Docker Hub _ credential _ USR. And when it is prompting for the password through your standard input, you are going to enter the value of your password from the credential manager. So this Docker Hub credentials is a variable that we declared here, which is going to hold two values at runtime based upon credential manager. If the credential is created based upon your key pair means, it will be having a key pair authorized keys and all. But here we use password based authentication. So it will be having the USR and password variable. Simple. So this process is something mandatory. It is as part of your security policy. As per the process, we are not supposed to hard code the credentials anywhere in the script. It should be handled through your credential manager only. Easy. Am I clear? Any question on this pipeline now? Okay. So if you want, I'll execute the first 4 stages for you. Or okay, we'll execute this also. The last stage, what we're going to do here, we are going to create a script to deploy your objects to Kubernetes. So go to your pipeline project, and from here, go to your snippet generator. So in that snippet generator, you can able to create a script, code script, like search for SSH. I mean, SSH publisher will be there somewhere. Okay, this one. So here, as soon as you select this, you can see in the drop down, you have two servers, Tomcat and Kubernetes master, which you configured. Select Kubernetes master. And what you're going to transfer. What is the source file here? What is source file? As part of my source code repository, I have this manifest file, kube deploy.yaml file, right? So I just want to copy this manifest file from my slave node into my Kubernetes master node. So the source file is the YAML file. File name can be anything. And there is no prefix to remove. And what is the remote directory? Where we want to place it? I want to paste it in the home directory of this Kubernetes master node. Like if you can see here, we already configured the Kubernetes master node with DevOps admins home directory. You can choose the same directory as a input. Just say dot here to identify the remote directory. And what is the command you can execute? kubectl create. Not create, you can say apply. -f followed by the file name. So this file name is something available in your source code repository now. As part of your SIM checkout, this file will be copied to your slave node. And using publish OSS plugin, we are going to copy that file. That is all the manifest file will be copied to the home directory of DevOps user. And once it is copied, it is going to run, we are going to run this command kubectl apply -f followed by the file name. So with all these parameters, if you generate a script, you will get something here. Copy this into your pipeline stage. Simple. Hope you're clear, right? How to prepare this details. Any question in creating this pipeline project? Any question from anyone? So let's copy this. And have it here. Any question from anyone, please let me know. Guys, do you have any question? Hey, what's happening here?
No, sir.
See, this is the last session, okay? You won't find this later on. Got it? So whatever the questions you have, please let me know right away. All good? I think people are busy, huh?
So far it is clear.
Okay, if it is clear, then just let me save this project and let's execute this. I'll do one thing. Let me reboot these machines, okay? Because we have created some, and let me reboot this. Just rebooting. Or managed service is not required. It means if you're using your live servers, it won't require, but it's a dummy server, so let's have it quickly. That's it. So now it's all up and running, correct? So let me go ahead and trigger this pipeline project. Build now. Is this a one? This one, right? Okay. So you can see it has started the execution. Yeah, it is an execution. If you want, you can right click and monitor the status console output of the job, like what's happening while you progress, right? You can able to capture those details one by one. Yes, so you can see this project is successfully executed. So this is a console output. So this is a job started by this user running in the slave node 1, and it means you can able to see it has downloaded the credential also from the credential manager. The source code has been downloaded. It is cloned to the repository. So if I go to my build server, what is it? CO to DevOps admin user, CD to the workspace folder, and in workspace folder you can find this project, PL web app CI/CD project 1. And here I have all the entire source code repository available here, including Docker file. Your cube deploy.yaml file is available, and also the target has been created because job is successful. So if you CD to the target folder, you can see the war file is available now, right? And what is the next thing? Your Maven build is completed. So the war file is created upon automated unit testing. There is no test failures and build is successful. Now the Docker build process. It is utilizing my Docker file and preparing this image. Docker ETA app image. It is extracting details from this Docker file, all the instructions, and it has created one image. So if you can see the script here, we have used a Docker build command first and then the image listing. I just want to check whether the image is created or not in the console. See, it is created with tag 1. So if you can see my list here, Docker images list, you can see it is having a Tomcat 8.0 as part of a Docker file. It has downloaded image and it has created one version of my application image tagging with the build number. And this tag is something I assigned manually through my script here. Correct. Now your image build is successful. Once it is successful, we are expecting it to log into container registry and then publish the image. So login is successful and is pushing the image to the container registry. The latest version of the application image is pushed to the container registry. So if you go to a container registry here, in this container registry, you should able to see your images. The latest image just 3 minutes ago just pushed the latest image. Just 3 minutes ago, it got pushed here, right? Easy. So this is how we prepare the image and publish to the container registry. This is the latest image which we have created in our build step. So now once the image is available here, I was expecting my pipeline to deploy this in a Kubernetes cluster by using publish version plugin. So you can check the status of execution. Upon pushing the image, it is executing the last stage, deploy to Kubernetes. And here it is connecting to my Kubernetes cluster and it has transferred the file and the execution is completed. It means if I get into my Kubernetes master node, here su-devops admin user, and if I say what I call the kubectl get deploy, I should be able to see that deployment object is created. It is something my deployment object name eta deploy, and as part of this, I'm expecting one replica set to be created. Loci eta deploy followed by the replica set unique ID. It is also created here, right? And we are expecting two instances. All these two instances are up and running now. So if I say kubectl get pods, you can see the two copies of my pods are up and running. And if you say -o wide option, you can see it is equally distributed. One instance of pod is running worker node 2 and this is running worker node 1. So it means my application pod is deployed in both the servers. That's what you should understand here. Any question? Hope you all can able to understand, right, what is happening here, or any question? Yes.
Yeah, looks we can understand.
That's it. So even in real-time environment, this will be your manifest file. Developers will be maintaining it. Only thing is they just change that variable. I mean, what do you call that? Image name. As per that application image, you can use and submit the script. That's all. All right. And not only this, as part of your manifest file, we have also created one service called looks ETA NP service. So if you can see here, kubectl get svc, you should be able to see one new service is created here, which is of type node port. Easy. Am I clear with this, or you guys have any question? Said something. All good. Can you all able to make it? What happened, sir? Why is so silent?
Yeah, looks we can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we will try.
You can do it or you can try. Difference is there. It's a very big difference.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, not
We can do it.
Um, all right then. So that's it. So in future, if you get any such requirements to implement DevOps for your application, you can simply follow all these procedures, whatever I shared here. Got it? If you're following this, that is more than sufficient. Don't get distracted or think too much about it. But always know when we provide any DevOps solution, we should take care of the best practices. And also we should consider the enhancement, the future enhancement, like how we can able to enhance your process. On that point of view only, I was talking about these things, right? Where is it? I gave you some tips that you can implement as a future perspective. Like here, I was expecting you to set up your GitHub webhook, and then you can able to set up the email notifications, right? Like this, we can able to enhance the process. Yeah, this is what the end-to-end process. So once you set up a GitHub webhook, developer from their Visual Studio Code or Eclipse, they commit the changes to source code repository. As soon as the changes are committed, your pipeline will get triggered, which will pick up the code, perform build and automate the deployment. That's it. Any question, guys? That's it. So even in real-time environment, only thing is you have to verify your repository. Source code repository, whatever shared by the development team, just go check the repository. It should have POM XML file, Docker file, and the Kubernetes manifest file. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you. If you don't have any question, you can log off. I don't want to waste your time. Or if you have any question, please let me know. All the very best for your project and other upcoming learnings. Okay. Because we have successfully completed our module. I'm not sure how many of you properly utilized my class notes and recordings, but people who already utilized it, I appreciate. And people who need some time to practice, please speed up your work. Okay, that's what I can say. Because tomorrow, I mean, the next session, once you get into your Azure or AWS, again, it will be overloaded, right? So let me copy this content for today's session. So the training documents. Yesterday, I prepared a project phase, powerful, right? Okay, so here in the class notes session, let me update these documents. So how's your overall experience like related to DevOps, open source DevOps tools? How much you're confident now? Compared to day one, what is your status? Thanks for that. And one more important thing, this repository is meant for your open source DevOps tools and services. Let me commit these changes. The training document, whatever you're saying, listen, at least listen to this one, please. The training document, whatever I prepared, it is meant for open source DevOps tools. Your Azure AWS will be having a separate repository. Don't want to mix it in the same repository. You'll be having, or it is recommended to have a separate repository for each and every stack, tool stack. Got it? So what you can do here is, please fork this repository and preserve it somewhere in your local. Got it? Just fork it. Or you can simply go to your training documents, because today I will update everything. Okay, I don't have anything to update for this open source DevOps. So just go to the training document and click on code and download as a zip file, or keep it somewhere in local machine. because tomorrow, as part of my cleanup activity, if this gets deleted also, you will get a backup of it from your machine. Understood? All clear?
Yes.
Yeah, looks like
Yeah, I opened the poll. People who are yet to share your feedback, please update your feedback or poll there, please. So yeah, repost is up to date. You can take this your link from me now. I'm sending this again to all, as well as the Java repository, whatever we have prepared for this project, CI/CD pipeline. This is available here. So I pinged both the links. Please ensure that you take a backup of it and preserve it somewhere.
Hello, sir. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, tell me please.
Uh, Kubernetes YAML file is there, right? It's a developer responsibility or it's like opportunity responsibility, like our state.
If you see the Kubernetes profile, right?
Yeah.
We have Kubernetes developer profile, we have Kubernetes administrator profile, as well as security admin profile,
Yeah, okay.
right? So
Mm.
Kubernetes developer will be preparing this manifest file templates and share it with the development team. So development team will fill all the required parameters, because only developers know what needs to be done, right? What is the image name? What is the image version they want to deploy, right? What is the name of the pod they want to assign? Everything is updated by the development team and it gets committed to the repository.
Actually,
So from Kubernetes perspective, we just provide the template for that manifest file, not the actual values or image details there.
yeah, actually, current market, if
Could
you
you please be
see,
louder?
uh, um,
Yeah,
can you hear me now properly?
yeah, tell me please.
Uh, Actually, current market is they expecting Docker and Kubernetes must ensure like that.
Yeah,
They're talking about DevOps. They're talking about Kubernetes Docker machines and like that. So in that point of view, you should be developer in the like Kubernetes or Docker.
Kubernetes.
So we should like you need to be like over in that Kubernetes, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
mandatory. That's right.
okay. I mean, the major problem looks like what is expectations in real time environment? What kind of questions they'll ask for Kubernetes? The
See,
product.
Kubernetes architecture,
Mm.
all the components of Kubernetes architecture, what is the
Yeah.
workflow, how the application is built and deployed in Kubernetes cluster, and you need to understand the deployment control object and the services, like what is a node port service cluster IP load balancer, and how to expose your pod to internet, what is a command, right? How you write a manifest file to create deployment object, what is a property of deployment object, and how you can able to create replicas, or how you can able to upgrade or downgrade the application without any downtime, right?
Okay.
And then the volumes like this, where you can expect a lot of questions there.
Yeah. Uh,
See,
Regarding
that's what I'm saying. Okay, so if you're preparing for interviews, right, I strongly recommend first practice all the concepts whatever we covered as part of this training. Okay,
yeah,
go through my class notes once for all the modules. Okay,
yeah.
and then go through some FAQs, frequently asked questions, right? If you
Mhm.
just Google it, you will get a lot of questions based upon your experience. Like if you search, like let's say if you want to have knowledge on Jenkins, just FAQs related to Jenkins.
Yeah. The major problem they'll ask real time experience questions. They're like
Real-time
it's
experience questions. If you are highlighting yourself as an experienced resource, you can expect such questions.
yeah.
Got it. The
Um,
training, whatever we have here, it is for the entry level, the freshers. So they'll be aware of it actually. Like you'll be considered as a trained DevOps resource, right?
yeah.
So for any fresher, they won't expect much on real-time scenario, because they very well know that you haven't worked on real-time scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least you learn something. You learn some concepts from all the DevOps tools. So how much you're strong in the core concepts, how independently you can able to work on each and every module. And tomorrow, if you get any opportunity, how you can able to independently work on that particular project. That means what are things you learned here? Can you able to relate it to the real-time scenarios or not? And equip yourself with the new learnings. That is what they expect.
Okay.
Got it?
So, okay, got it. I mean, so we can take like online projects and we can work on it and we can showcase in
You
that
can,
way.
no problem. Even if you search for scenario-based questions for Jenkins or Docker, you'll get plenty of things available. Just have a glance. It's all for your, refreshment, knowledge share, enhancement, etc. But don't highlight anything like you have experience and all. Correct. Sometimes people might mention they already work for 2 years or 3 years. Without proper technical knowledge, don't do that.
Okay, got it. Uh, Regarding monitoring tools, we didn't discuss that. I mean, monitoring tools. Yes. And there's been
Monitoring
common
tool,
concept.
Prometheus and Grafana, right? You're saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What's the question?
No, I mean, sir, actually, middle I missed one or two clauses. Did we discuss about it for monitoring tools?
Yeah, we talked about, right? We discussed about Prometheus and Grafana yesterday.
Oh, got it. Yesterday I was not in the class. Okay,
Yeah.
that's today. Okay, I'll go through that notes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, got it. So, so Nakshatra is like Azure, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll
Thank
be
you.
getting the communication on that, okay? Like about your next module, everything you'll be getting proper communication from your support team. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you, Laksh.
Right? Fine, guys. So anyone else yet to share your feedback poll or something? I can see people are available online, but not yet updated the polls.
The poll yet.
Sorry,
I haven't received the poll.
it's already enabled. Okay, please check. It might be open on another tab or somewhere.
No, it's just one tab opened on my browser. Nothing.
Okay,
Polls.
it's okay. It's okay
Yeah,
then.
I got it. I got it under the polls option.
Hmm. Okay.
And looks like the we use one monitoring tool. And if I talk about the Datadog and Site 24/7, these tools are also similar to that one, or they are a little different.
It's on application perspective, right? Like application monitoring,
Yeah.
right? So that is different. But
Uh,
architecture wise, everything is same. Okay. Only thing is what it is to monitor, what are all the entities it has to cover, what are
hmm,
the selection criterias. In that case, it is different.
okay.
But the implementation wise, everything is same.
Okay. On
All
Monday
right.
you will start the Azure, right?
Uh, it depends upon your feedback. Okay.
I can just request you to start it from Tuesday if possible. Otherwise, it's all your choice. No problem.
It's not me to decide. Okay. So you can take care of it. You'll be getting a communication from your support team. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect then.
So
Perfect.
you will be not continuing.
I mean, some of them looking for some extensions, right? They need time to practice, right?
Yeah.
On that on that perspective, I'm saying depends upon your how much time you need to practice because it is Friday, right? Saturday, Sunday you have time. Still, if you need more time, you can check with your team. They will decide on that. Don't worry about it. So
Okay.
one important thing from my end is we have covered almost all the major open source DevOps tools. Okay, so I strongly recommend focus on your Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes, as well as Git module, because that is what we are expecting from the freshers. Okay, if you are appearing for interview also, how much you're strong in Git and other stuff. Like, or if you want to appear like 0 to 1 year of experience resource means you can choose Jenkins and highlight all your experiences, learning experiences there. Git, and you can add all the experiences. Docker CLI commands. Got it? So please practice on interview perspective as well, because the right time market is really good. So stay focused.
Sure, Loksai.
What about the poll here? I think still most of you not it.
I have
Submitted.
submitted.
I submitted.
Okay, fine. But still I can see some gap. No problem. It's okay. Thank you. Thanks for your time. If you have any question, let me know. Otherwise we can.
No, I don't have any questions so far.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Loksai. Take care.
All the best.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you all. Bye.